Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Kunda Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Munati Ravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Jai Gaur Hari. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottarashata Srimad Divine Grace Abhaya Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Ji Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Chad Goswami Prabhugana ki all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. What is the sloka? Board is not there. Board is. Sloka. Okay, I'll show you. What is the number? Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshuvunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhiraye Nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. Welcome all of you for the today morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reciting from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 13th chapter, text number 11. Matvatam jadamunmattam कुलवृद्धा समन्त्रिणः वत्सरं भूपतिं चक्रुर् यौवीयां सम्भ्रमे सुतम् मत्वा तं जडमुन्मत्तं कुलवृद्धा समन्त्रिणः वत्सरं भूपतिं चक्रुर् यौवीयां सम्भ्रमे सुतम्. मत्वा तं जडमुन्मत्तं कुलवृद्धा समन्त्रिणः वत्सरं भूपतिं चक्रुर् यवीयां सम्भ्रमे सुतम्. मत्वा तं जडमुन्मत्तं कुलवृद्धा समन्त्रिणः वत्सरं भूपतिं चक्रुर् यवीयां सम्भ्रमे सुतम्. माताजी, मत्वा तं जडमुन्मत्तं कुलवृद्धा समन्त्रिणः वत्सरं भूपतिं चक्रुर् यवीयां सम्भ्रमे सुतम्. Matva, thinking, tam, Utkala, jadam, without intelligence, unmattam, mad, kulavriddaha, the elderly members of the family, samantrinaha, with the ministers, vatsaram, vatsara, bhupatim, ruler of the world, chakruhu, they made, yaviyamsam, younger, brahmeh, of Brahmi, Sutam, son. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. For this reason, for what reason? That is given in the previous verse. You will see here. Utkala appeared to be less intelligent, appeared to the less intelligent persons on the road to be foolish, blind, dumb, deaf, and mad. Although actually he was not so. He remained like fire covered with ashes without blazing flames. So this is about Utkala. Utkala was actually a pure devotee, Paramahamsa. So, so now the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj, how it continues, that is shown here. See, from his very birth, Utkala was fully satisfied and unattached to the world. He was equipoised, for he could see everything resting in the Supersoul and Supersoul present in everyone's heart. That means the Lord is present in everyone and everything, and everyone and everything is resting in the Lord. These two visions are explained in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter you will read. So he was having that vision, correct vision, spiritual vision, right from birth. He was a liberated soul, you see. By expansion of his knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, he had already attained liberation from the bondage of the body. This liberation is known as Nirvana. He was situated in transcendental bliss, and he continued always in that blissful existence, which expanded more and more. This was possible for him by continual practice of Bhakti Yoga, which is compared to fire, because it burns away all dirty material things. And he was always situated in his constitutional position of self-realization. And he could not see anything else but the Supreme Lord and himself engaged in discharging devotional service. That was Utkala's state of consciousness. You can see that. So, therefore, like Jadabharata externally appeared to be blind, dumb, deaf, and mad. He also, Utkala was behaving like that in order to avoid the materialists and bad association. So at that time, Matva Jadam Tam Jadam Unmatam. For this reason, the ministers and all the elderly members of the family thought Utkala to be without intelligence and in fact mad. Sometimes when a boy becomes a Hare Krishna devotee, all parents, friends, relatives think he has gone mad, isn't it? They think it's the Prabhupada wrote one article, who is crazy? Our devotee is crazy or material is crazy. Prabhupada said, they think we are crazy, we know they are crazy. Prabhupada said, how we know they are crazy? Based on Krishna's words. Namam dushkritano mudha. Prabhupada said, Krishna says, they are foolish, grossly foolish people. So we have to see from whose point of view? Common man's point of view or Krishna's point of view? Krishna's point of view. So, uh, therefore, he says that they thought of him to be mad. Thus, his younger brother, named Vatsara, the son of Brahmi, was elevated to the royal throne and he became king of the world. His name was Vatsara. Yeah. It appears that although there was monarchy, it was not at all an autocracy. There were senior family members and ministers who could make changes and elect the proper person to the throne, although the throne could be occupied only by the royal family. In modern days also, wherever there is monarchy, sometimes the ministers and elderly members of the family select one member from the royal family to occupy the throne in preference to another. So first of all, I seek the blessings of His Grace Anandamaya Prabhu and His Holiness Ram Govind Swami Maharaj and all devotees to be able to say something meaningful and valuable from this purport. Generally, Prabhupada says about the Rishabhadev section, the eldest son should become the king and the younger sons should follow him. There were how many sons of Rishabhadev? 100 sons. So Rishabhadev is telling his 100 sons in his gathering that I am planning to make Bharat Maharaj my successor. Bharat, and he is known for his nobility and all good qualities. And all of you younger brothers of Bharat, don't become envious of him. Cooperate with him and continue to rule the world and help all people flourish in their spiritual life. So he is giving a warning to them that just because one of them becomes king and other ones don't become king, we shouldn't become envious and compete with one another. That will destroy the whole royal order. He tells. So at the time, Bharat was qualified. He was highly qualified for that position. He was put on the throne. Similarly, the posthumous child, Parikshit, in the Pandava dynasty, was the only last child because the 5 sons of Draupadi were killed. You know that. So Parikshit was the only one qualified. So when Parikshit was born, the Brahmanas also spoke many of his glories. He will be like generous like Rantidev. He will be a devotee like Prahlad. He will have strength like he will be very great in chivalrous in battle like Arjuna, and he will have tolerance like Earth, and he will be determined. And he will be strong and determined. So that many qualities they are talking about Parikshit. Not only they spoke about his qualities. When Parikshit appeared and he ascended to the throne as the Pandava's descendant, he was such a chivalrous king that he gave a challenge to the entire world. He said, I have inherited this post, but I don't want to accept this post just because it is coming as an inheritance. I should deserve it also. In order for me to deserve it, I give a challenge to the whole world. Anybody wishes to fight with me, let us have a fight. So 3 times he offered the challenge. And none of the people in the world came forward, which goes to show that by merit, and by inheritance, he became the king. Who? Parikshit Maharaj. That's ideal actually. There are some religious institutions where they have one system of seminal guru. Seminal guru means the guru's son becomes the next guru. And then that guru's son becomes the next guru. Now, what is the problem in this? Prabhupada writes about it elaborately in one purport. He says that Advaitacharya Prabhu, he had 6 sons. Three of them became Mayavadis. Three of them became Vaishnavas. So, you will find that although Advaitacharya himself was a great Vaishnava, you know, some of his sons became deviated from the right path. You can see that they became scholarly and then they got deviated. So just because somebody is born in a Vaishnava family doesn't certify him to become the next Acharya. Yeah. One has to qualify. Just like a doctor's son is not a doctor. Lawyer's son is not a lawyer. Actually, doctor's son, sometimes when he's a small boy, he may go to the clinic of the father. He may also wear the apron. He may also wear the stethoscope like father, and he may sit in father's seat and, examine the people who come just for fun. So he has some chance to get inspired by the father. But just because he is inspired doesn't make him doctor. Just to qualify, he has to do MBBS, MD and all that he has to do. And because this is easily understandable example, Prabhupada gave the son of a doctor is not a doctor, son of a lawyer is not a lawyer. Same manner, son of a, just because somebody is born in a Vaishnava family doesn't immediately qualify him to become a next Acharya. So when Srila Prabhupada started this ISKCON movement, he told all the disciples that whatever wealth ISKCON has accumulated, it is meant for preaching purpose. It is not to be taken as an inheritance by my family members. Some of the family members are thinking that our father has gone all over the world and accumulated a lot of wealth and he's put up this institution. So now we have a lot of wealth. So the wealth is not, he said, this wealth is not my personal wealth. This wealth is Krishna's wealth, institution's wealth. And this will be purely used for propagation of Krishna consciousness. And he had 5 sons and they all grew up and they all took up jobs. One of them was Vrindavan Dev. They were very pious. They had deities at home also. At the same time, they were not preachers like Prabhupada. They were not very much into Bhagavata Dharma, but they were pious type of people. So at one time, the family had little difficulty regarding accommodation and food and everything. So some of the ISKCON leaders arranged something for them, just because ISKCON leaders were grateful to their family. So certainly, Vaishnava is grateful. Prabhupada has done so much for us. So their family was also helped a little bit, but the family cannot claim inheritance of the wealth earned by the father because Prabhupada did not entertain the seminal system. So there is a Shaukra, there is Srautra. Shaukra means the son of a Brahmana is Brahmana, to think like that. That is called Shaukra. Shaukra comes from the word Shukra. Shukra means Virya. Correct, no? So, in India, some seminal Brahmanas claim to be Brahmana and demand respect. Seminal Goswamis claim to be Goswamis and demand respect, which is not acceptable. Prabhupada rejected it. And Srautra means by coming in the parampara of hearing. Your awakening of Krishna consciousness happens by hearing process. And then you come to treat your Guru as a spiritual father. So much so that you lay down your life at his lotus feet. You tell him that my property, my body, my mind, my words is my Guru's property. And it is a fact actually. You can see with your own eyes in ISKCON. There are many people who came to ISKCON at one time. They were strangers. When they came to the temple, they rang a bell, put a coin, bowed down and went. But eventually they heard the lectures, read Prabhupada's books. And as they came closer, they came to understand that this is real life. And then they have, they have got initiated and they are working for the pleasure of Guru. Even husband, wives also, or brahmacharis also. They consider very strongly that I am actually son of this, I am a spiritual son of this spiritual master. And I am ready to do anything that he will tell me. I am ready to, even if he sends me to a remote place to preach, I'll go and preach. My 24/7, I have no other business. This is my first business. So even a real son will not work like that sometimes. Real son has so much independence. Like Prabhupada was selling in America, Prabhupada had 10,000 followers at that time, and 5,000 became his initiated disciples. Prabhupada said, in India, I had 5 sons, but I got no cooperation from them. But when I came to America, Prabhupada said, now I have 5,000 sons and daughters, and all of them are understanding this philosophy and practicing it and preaching it and taking this movement far and wide. I am far more happier than before. He said like that. So the real son is one who aligns, isn't it? Without alignment, there is no, what's the use of having a son who is acting independently without understanding the father's interest? So, therefore, Prabhupada did not entertain that kind of seminal system. Same with monarchy also. Like if there is a king, what about his son? Can his son become the king or not? Yes, son can become the king, provided he is qualified. If he is qualified, he can become the king. If he is not qualified, then they have to look for someone else. So, you will find um, um, in the fourth canto, you will find the Prithu Maharaj section. Before Prithu, there is one chapter on Vena. You will find. So who was, after the Prithu section, after the, who? Anga Maharaja. After Anga Maharaja was a very, very noble soul. Very good soul. So much so that he didn't even commit any mistake even in his mind also. Can you imagine? What a noble soul he was. When the Brahmanas saw that Anga Maharaj is performing sacrifice, demigods are looking from the sky, but they are not coming and accepting the offering. The Brahmanas were also surprised, and Anga Maharaj was also surprised. Anga Maharaj took the permission to break the vow of silence, Mauna, and he asked them, why are the devatas not coming down and accepting my offerings? So they said, we are very sorry to say, my dear king, in this lifetime, you didn't commit any mistake, even with your mind also. But in the previous lifetime, you have some sinful account, due to which you are not entitled for a son. There's no putra bhagya for you. Now the devatas are worrying that if we come and accept the offering, but then we are not giving him a son, it will be like you go to a shop and you pay the money for a commodity, and they took the money and they're not giving you the commodity. It would be an injustice. So therefore, they're hesitating to come and accept the offerings. Then Anga asked that what is to be done? They said, these demigods are unfit to give you a son because it's not in your account. Chayeva karma sachiva, sadhavo dina vatsala. Bhagavatam says that the devatas are like a karma sachiv, secretary for your own karma. If it is there in your account, they can give. If it is not in your account, they cannot give. So they can't give. Then the Brahmana said, but there is one person who can give you a son. Who is it? Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if it is not in your account, still he can give you. That only Krishna can do. He has that capability. Then how Krishna gives? Krishna will give a son, and the son will give you so much trouble that it will be equivalent to having the trouble of not having the son. Correct? No? Like for example, by not having a son, you feel pain. Say X amount of pain you feel by not having a son. Now the son will come and give you same amount of pain. Therefore, the quantum of pleasure and pain are fixed at the time of birth. So that way, the Supreme Lord is very intelligent. He knows how to give or not give and, fulfill the desire of a devotee, because ultimately that is what is to be eventually accounted for, the pleasure and pain. So, and Anga was ready to accept any suffering if he can have a son. So then they performed a yajna, and then he got a son, but a very dangerous son he got. What is his name? Vena. So this Vena, right from childhood, was a very dangerous boy. Even as a small kid, he would pick up other small babies and throw them in the ocean. So he was like that. He would beat up people, fight with people, was very arrogant, harsh of speech. Nobody could come near him. And people couldn't escape him also. Being the son of a king, he took undue advantage of his princehood. Because sometimes you are a prince. Like sometimes in one of the colleges, there was a director's son. Very arrogant boy. He would be very mischievous. He would do With other boys, he would catch them by collar and slap them. He would be chasing after some girls. All that he would do, but people would be afraid to correct him. Why? Because director's son. They thought now our seat will be removed if we correct him. So that's what he also did. This Vena also did. And all the people would go and cry to King Anga, see your son is doing like this. You are a very good soul, we know, but please kindly reform this boy. You are a father, it's your duty to reform him. And he tried his best to reform his son. See, this becomes a very painful thing for some parents also. Some parents are good people, but children are too mischievous. When the reports go to the parents, parents don't know what to do with the children. Sometimes. Anga tried and tried and tried. The boy was not ready to listen. Finally, Anga got detached and he ran into forest. And then he met this Brahmanas and saintly people there and practiced Shuddha Bhakti and went back to Godhead. He retired very early and went away. So now, at that time, all the thieves and rogues in the world became very enlivened. Now that there is no king, this is the time for us. We can loot the people and we will get a big booty now. Because people are now vulnerable. People are weak now. They are not protected by a leader. So the thieves and rogues started um, creating a big storm of, dust and rushing here and there, back and forth. And you could hear the cries of women and cries of children, cries of people. The homes were broken, just like you heard about Taliban. You heard, no? Very similar to that. Correct, no? There is no one in control, and anybody can do anything, any damn thing, and there is nobody to ask anything. See, this is called anarchy. Anarchy is opposite to monarchy. Correct, no? Monarchy means there is a king, like Parikshit Maharaj is saying, hey, a cow and bull is being beaten. I'm here. He assured the cow and bull. Nobody can touch you. Tell me, who is the perpetrator? At once I'll kill him, he said. The cow and bull were a little afraid because perpetrator was standing very near only. At that time, Parikshit understood this fellow is wearing a black dress and the crown of a king and proclaiming to be a false king. He's an imitator king. Immediately, he took the sword in the hand to slay off his head. And then that fellow took off his mukut, put down and offered obeisances and sought forgiveness. We need kings like Parikshit who can take instant action on atrocious people. But when thieves and rogues flourished and dharma was, pinned down by the vicious people, at that time, the Brahmanas had a meeting. You see, the Brahmanas did not take up the post. That is the Vedic culture. Brahmanas, even though they may be capable of running a country, but they will not take the post. Even Prabhupada told that. Somebody asked Prabhupada, what if we make you Prime Minister of India, something like that? Prabhupada said, no. Let a Kshatriya be Prime Minister and I will become his Guru, Prabhupada said. And I will give him advice, how to run the country, he said. So, the Brahmanas didn't take up the throne immediately. At that time, the Brahmanas decided together that let us make Vena the king. Because your blind uncle is better than no uncle at all. Somebody should be king. And they also foresaw the advantage of having Vena as a king because thieves are also afraid of Vena. Thieves and rogues. Because he is the biggest thief and biggest rogue. So amongst the rogues, the bigger rogue can subdue the smaller rogue. So with that idea, the Brahmanas thought, let us put Vena on the throne. So the ministers were all protesting. They were not happy. They said, no. We know who he is. From childhood we have seen him. What kind of person is? Suddenly overnight do you think he will change? And the Brahmana said, you see, don't see the negative side of a person. See the brighter side. We are offering him a very big encouragement. We are giving him the post of a king. Let him accept the post of the king. And then we will slowly preach to him and give him Sadupadesh. Little by little he will change. We feel that we can bring him to right track by giving good advice. So they were hopeful because there was no one else available at that time to match his valor. He was very chivalrous and had great valor. Only thing is he was not a dharmic in that sense. But ministers were still protesting. They said, no, we don't want all these explanations. You have to choose another person. Then they went to his mother Sunita and asked her, Madam, what do you say about your son becoming king? So which mother in the world will say, my son shouldn't be the king? Huh? Whole world, let it get destroyed, but my son should be king. Dhritarashtra was also like that. Sunita was also like that. You may tell Dhritarashtra, hey, whole Kaura dynasty will be destroyed. He said, no problem, but my son should be king. What is it due to? Attachment, mental attachment. So she said, I am very happy to hear my son is going to become king. I was already worried that people will discard him because of his nature. Now that you all are putting him on throne, I am most happy, she said. So then they subdued the ministers and said, mother has agreed. And we all jointly agree. And we have no other alternative. And they told the ministers, we will enthrone him as a king. If he gives problem, then we have the power to dethrone him also. See, who can enthrone a person? Only a person who has the power to dethrone him. Otherwise, you cannot enthrone a person. Brahmana said, you don't worry. In case he does some big blunders, we can dethrone him anytime and post another king. For the time being, let us separate the problems in the world. And then they put Vena on throne. Vena was very chivalrous, very powerful. He was such a violent fellow, cruel fellow, like an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, we say. No? Like, this Nebuchadnezzar, there was a king in those days in Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. He had this formula, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. If you broke somebody's tooth, he will arrange for your tooth to be broken. If you were blinded somebody, he will make sure your eye is blinded. If you stole some property, he will cut your hand on the spot. And he was ruthless, merciless. So when thieves came to know, this fellow has come to power, my Lord, this fellow knows all our tricks. So the whole world calmed down. Everywhere. And the Brahmanas are very happy. Now the king is in power. But the problem was, when after Vena came to rule, he told the Brahmanas that arrange for drums to be played and everywhere announcement should be made that anybody who is seen to be worshipping demigods, devatas, or anybody is performing yajna, they will all be arrested. You'll be put behind the bars. And they're wondering, what are you saying? What is this new policy? He said, anybody who's worshipping any demigod is like an unchaste wife. He said, why? Because the king is the supreme personality of Godhead. Like that he said. And they said, wait a minute, king, I think you didn't study Shastra properly. Shastras don't say king is supreme lord. Naradev means king is the representative of supreme lord and he should be respected like supreme lord, but he is not supreme lord. Just like Guru is also called a Sakshat Haritva in a Samasta Shastra, isn't it? He should be respected like Krishna. Even mother also, Matru Deva Bhava, Pitu Deva Bhava, Atiti Deva Bhava. Shastras teach us to treat mother, father, guest, king, everybody like God. And by this, our noble behavior, our sublime behavior will be brought out. And that way, this world will be a very, very beautiful place by that respectful dealing with one another. And also, we draw the blessings. And the king is like a father of the whole society. But this fellow was claiming to be Supreme Lord himself. And he told them, you stop all yajna, dana, tapa, everything. All people should assemble in their homes and put my photo and everybody should worship. See, now when you hear this, you may laugh at it. But there is a real story of one communist, in the communist country. This fellow, when he ascended to power, he ordered for his own murti to be made in every place. And he said, no other, only my temple should be there, he said. Everywhere people should only worship me. He made his own. After that, when Stalin and other people came, his murtis were broken down after that. They were all dismissed after that. So why I was telling you this? Because we find that in this world, there are people who claim to be God themselves. There are many Mayavadi matas where people treat the Guru only as God. Therefore, Prabhupada said, you should make an altar of Radha Krishna, Gaurnitai, Jagannath Subhadra, and then Prabhupada's deity should be put behind the rear end. So Prabhupada is also taking darshan. Correct, no? Prabhupada is also one of the people in the audience. Prabhupada wanted this culture to be taught to the people that Vaishnava means he is respected like God, but he is not God. So he taught that and he lived that type of culture. Or sometimes you keep Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur at the lotus feet of Gaurnitai. You have seen that in Juhu temple or other places. What is the meaning of that? They are actually assisting in the mission of Governor. But there are temples where they keep only the Guru and they have no other, uh, uh, they put sometimes other gods in a very small manner and they ignore them. So, Guru is never God. If you say Guru is God, he is a Mayavadi. And if somebody rejects Guru and says only Krishna, no Guru, then he's Sahajya. So we don't want to become Sahajya also, we don't want to become Mayavadi also. Vaishnava means Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tata guru tasyaite katitahi artha prakashante mahatmanah. One who is surrendered to the spiritual master and one who has accepted Krishna as the Lord of his heart. For such a person, the sublime absolute truth is revealed in his heart. Prakashante mahatmana, he says. So, in this way, when Vena did this, now the Brahmanas, all of them went together to him. They concealed their anger and very pleasingly spoke to him. My dear king, don't you know, any king who follows the path of dharma will ascend to the heaven and all his praja will also go to heaven with him. And if a king walks the path of adharma, then all the praja will also follow him. Yatha raja, tata praja. Therefore, if you are walking the path of adharma, all people will walk the same path and they are going to bring 1/6 of their bad karma to you. And that will keep you in hell for long, long time. Therefore, we plead you, do not do what you are doing now. Don't destroy the dharma in the country. Allow all brahmanas to do their yajna and worship of the devatas, protection of cows, let everything happen. And Vena got wild on the brahmanas. He started shouting at them. He said, how dare you are rebelling against the king? What is the use of you guys being brahmanas? This kind of things. So then the brahmanas became very dissatisfied. They only said one word, like that they said. In that one hunkar, he not only was dethroned, he was destroyed also. You will find. In one moment, he was destroyed. That means one should never enrage the great souls. You see. In fact, we should become object of their blessings and compassion. So, therefore, here the same point is made that, whenever a person is not. Now, Utkala is a pure devotee, but he may not be fit to sit on the throne because he is uninterested in the outside world. So, one who is seated on the throne, even in ISKCON also, Prabhupada wanted leaders who are spiritual managerial leaders. Spiritual managerial means you need some spiritual qualifications and qualities, and you need some managerial inclination also. If somebody says, no, I will only do bhajan and I have no interest in management, then one need not occupy any post at all. You cannot occupy a post. Or if somebody is interested only in doing management all the time and never studies the scriptures, never has spiritual absorption, such a person will make the management heated up management. It will be passionate management, creating trouble to himself and others also. So we don't want a burning management and we don't want only like a Bhajananandi management. We need a combination of these two. So Prabhupada said spiritual managerial. So I'll show you some of the qualities of an ideal king. You will find these 4 things are explained in Artha Shastra. Artha Shastra written by Chanakya is all extract from Mahabharata, Ramayana, Panchatantra, Hitopadesha and the Vedas. He says that Nana Shastra Samuchayam. So he will he is listing the things in leadership, intellect, energy and personal attributes of a king. 4 things he is saying. Who is the ideal leader? You can see here. He says the qualities, the first one is qualities of leadership, which attracts followers. See, the things which are shown in red, they are all the duties of a king, which means they are possible to be developed if one works towards them. And the things which are shown in black without highlighting in red, that actually comes by destiny, because you can't change it. Therefore, that is shown in black. You can't actively pursue it. Therefore, they are shown in black. See, the first one, birth in a noble family, good fortune. Somebody may not have birth in a noble family. And second one, intellect and prowess, association with elders. Like you will find Prahlad Maharaj, as soon as he ascended the throne, what is the first thing he did? After Nrsimhadev coronated him through Brahma, Nrsimhadev disappeared after that. First thing he did was boarded his chariot along with his ministers and went to Rishabh Hills near Melukotai. And he associated with the Avadut Brahman, which comes in 7th canto. That means Prahlad understood the first thing king should do is to associate with the elders and learn the right map, right script to rule the kingdom. That's what he did. And being righteous and truthful, Yudhishthira Maharaj was known for his righteousness and truthfulness. And resolute, enthusiastic, and disciplined. This is very important also. He should be enthusiastic in his work, in ruling the people. Ideally, actually, why he needs enthusiasm? Because he has to give protection. He has to do administration. If you are put in a department, if you don't have the enthusiasm for the department, that will be called as a sleeping department. You have seen, no? There are some sleeping departments. They exist. Only title is there, but nothing much happens. So should we be a happening temple or a sleeping temple? Happening temple. Happening means morning Harinam is happening. Evening book distribution is happening. And Bhagavatam class is happening. Sevas are happening. Festivals are happening. Expansion is happening. So it should be a happening temple. So for that, the devotees residing in the temple should be super enthusiastic for that. And he should be disciplined also. Because if he is disciplined, to sleep on time, to wake up on time, to do the duties in a disciplined way, this also includes the 4 regulative principles also. If a king doesn't follow 4 regulative principles, he can become victim of Vishakanya and such people. If he is loose in dealing with opposite sex, he can become victim and he may die prematurely. So he should be disciplined in his habits. And he should have integrity. He should not break his promises. And he should be grateful to those who help him. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj is grateful to Vidura, is grateful to Dhritarashtra, you see. Yeah. Having lofty aims. Prabhupada said, no, aim at the rhino, Prabhupada said. What is the meaning of aiming at rhino? See, these two, you have seen rhinoceros and hippopotamus, you have seen. These two are 2 big animals, and they are very hefty animals. That is why they use it for this, I think, one of the tires, sear tires or something. Sear tires, why they show this animal, hippopotamus, they show. Why? In they show the tire taken in rough areas like mountainous area, lot of stones, correct, no? Like that the tire goes. And then they show sear tires like that they put. You've seen that? Because, very rugged. They want to show that it is very rugged animal. So very difficult to, it's not a rat or something to catch. It's a rugged animal and heavy animal also. So that's the purpose. Aim at the rhino. So if somebody is going to forest, people are asking him, where are you going? He says, I'm going to catch a rhino, he says. People will say, oh, my Lord, he's catching a rhino. Must be a great soul. People will think like that. And he returns from the forest and says, I couldn't catch rhino. Nobody will ridicule him because everybody knows it is difficult, even if he didn't catch. After Prabhupada said, I am going where? To America. What for? To make American Brahmanas. Some of his god brothers said, wow, you are making devotees in America. It's a land of Bhoga Bhumi. How will you make? Okay, nothing wrong in trying. You can try and come. After 1 year, many of his god brothers wrote to him and said, you are just thinking of the impossible. These fellows will not even understand what you are speaking. Don't waste your time. Come and stay in Vrindavan with us and do bhajan and go back to Godhead. They told him. But then Prabhupada really made it. Made thousands and thousands of Vaishnavas and brought. He aimed at the rhino and captured the rhino and brought. Correct, no? He did that. So similarly, a king should have lofty aims. See, Chanakya says in one of the verses, if a Brahmana is dissatisfied, he will perish. And then he says, if a Kshatriya is satisfied, he will perish. He says. That means Brahmana should be satisfied and Kshatriya should be never satisfied. He should always want to improve. That we call it as a service excellence, we call it. You should always try to make your services more excellent. Like if you are in cleaning department, find out how I can make this temple spick and span, very clean. If you are in preaching department, how I can bring more and more people to Prabhupada's movement. We should never be satisfied. So we all have a spiritual managerial responsibility in ISKCON. As a Brahmana, for prasadam, we be satisfied. Small accommodation, be satisfied. They give you some 4 pairs of clothes, be satisfied. There we should be satisfied. When it comes to preaching, be like fire. Go dashing out. Distribute books, do Harinam, preach and bring a lot of people. In that we should never be satisfied. So have lofty aims, not being dilatory, he's saying. And being strong than neighboring kings, that is not in our hands. Because sometimes neighboring king may be more stronger, sometimes we may be more stronger, correct? No? And having ministers of high quality, because ministers are advisors. So the king is the one who chooses ministers. So the ministers should be really good fellows who can, like Vidura is a good minister. Vibhishan is a good minister. We need such ministers who will help us walk the right path. So this is all about the qualities of leadership. Second one is intellect. Qualities of intellect means he should have desire to learn. Just like, Steve Jobs wrote a book, famous book, you know that? Stay hungry, stay foolish, he said. Stay hungry means always be eager for learning. Never become complacent in life. If you become complacent, you perish. You don't continue to exist. Like people are asking, where are the Hare Krishnas? In Prabhupada's time, they were doing Harinam in the streets. So now, if you go on Harinam, people know that these Hare Krishnas are still alive. Their movement is going on. Otherwise, how will people know? So stay hungry and stay foolish means what? Always think, I don't know enough. I need to be informed. Even if we can even learn from juniors also. So one should be, like my spiritual master used to learn from one gentleman, different tunes, ragas. Although that fellow was chanting only one round. Now Maharaj didn't say that. You are chanting one round, I can't learn from you. He didn't say that. We can learn from everybody. So stay hungry, stay foolish means if you are eager to learn and if you are always considering yourself ignorant, then you have the right kind of mindset to learn. You have a desire to learn. Then we should also be willing to listen to others and grasp what they are saying and retain what they are saying. Listen, grasp, retain. That also a king should be able to do quickly without much difficulty. And understanding thoroughly and reflecting on knowledge. See, these are all deep qualities. You should be able to understand the situation thoroughly. For example, one time, Shivaji Maharaj in Maharashtra saw that the enemy is bringing some 2,000 people. And he had very less people. Suddenly they can attack. So he had only some 200-300 people and they are bringing 2,000 people. So immediately, it was the evening time, getting dark, almost 6:30, 7 o'clock or something. What he did, he arranged, but they had thousands of cows. So in all the cows and bulls' horns, they put fire torches. Like this. Here also fire torch, here fire torch. And they made them climb up the hill. Because cows climb up the hill very far, very easily. Like in Govardhan hill also cows are there. So in the dark night when the enemies came, they saw thousands of fire torches. Because they were held by whom? Cows. And the enemies ran away. And these fellows had very few soldiers only. Simply by seeing the fire torches, the enemies ran away. They didn't want to even fight also. So the king requires very deep understanding. How to act according to situation, smartly. You may be aware also, he was put in a jail and for some period of time, and he requested that some fruits be brought, mangoes or something. So they brought in many baskets. So he entered in one of the baskets. And when the fruits were taken out, balanced fruits, he was also taken out. You know that? Yeah. So king requires shrewdness, alertness. That is a king who can plan strategies. What strategy we should take to be able to enter into Maya's ranks and be able to defeat Maya and establish Krishna consciousness. That requires strategy and requires shrewdness. So understanding thoroughly and reflecting on knowledge, rejecting false views and adhering to the true ones. You should be able to clearly, dudh ka dudh, pani ka pani. You should be able to know clearly what is water, what is milk. You should be able to distinguish and choose. Like, sometimes we send some devotees to purchase in the market and come. Like me and my assistant went to the market to purchase a bag. So we asked him, how much is the bag? So he said, 650, he said. So along with me, my assistant was saying, he thought I will intelligently ask him, can you give it at 350? He asked him. And that fellow said, okay, take it. Immediately gave it in 350. Then he looked at me and said, Prabhuji, how did he give it so easily at 350? He asked me. I told him, that means the cost is not 350. I told him. It must be much lesser than that. And why did he start with 650? He knows people will buy. India means they have to bargain. They will bargain. So if he is easily giving at 350, that means, then I told him that we cannot give you 1 penny more than 200. Yeah? Then that fellow was inching, bargaining back and forth. Finally, we got it at 225. We got it. Yeah? Actually, if he is screaming, if he is shouting, that means that we have come very close to the cost. Correct, no? Correct, no? Yeah. So, why I'm saying, many times we are living in a world of cheaters and cheated. The king, whoever is accepting the role, is to be intelligent. And then the energetic king, who is it? Shauryam tejo dhrirdaksham yuddhe chapi palayanam danam. What is the next one? Ishvara bhavascha kshatra karma savavajam, he says. Shauryam means valor in battle. You should not be like the Virata king's son who saw, Karna, Bhishma, Duryodhana, Drona and all. He wanted to take a U-turn and run away. That is called the palayanam, means running away from battle. Yuddhe chapi palayanam means, there are kings I heard, when they would go over the fort through some ropes. After they enter the fort, the ropes are cut. There was one king like that in the Maharashtra. So the people are saying, hey, why are you cutting the rope? In case we are not able to fight properly, we can catch ropes and come back. He said, there is no coming back. Either you win and conquer and rule, or you die there. This is Kshatriya. That is called Yuddhe Chapi Palayanam. That type of determination is required. And he is quick. His energetic means he has reflex action. You know that one of our prime ministers in those days, when he went to Sri Lanka, all the ministers were giving salute to him. Sorry, not ministers, soldiers giving salute. One soldier took a gun like that, pop, he hit behind. And immediately he moved like that. So he didn't get hit. You know that? It happened. So that means Kshatriya should have quick and reflex action. You should anticipate dangers. You should anticipate problems. And that means that is called presence of mind. It requires presence of mind. For example, you make a certain strategy to preach and that is not working. Like for example, when Corona came, people are starting to say, when will Corona go away? No, it's not going to go away so easily. Now 3 years it is sitting here and Corona is not going. So some people, what they did, they saw for 3-4 days, this is a new problem that has come. Immediately they switched to online mode after that. They said, will Corona stop or not stop? Our preaching will continue. And that way, whatever best, it's like making best out of bad bargain, as you say. So if you don't change the strategy, you will become obsolete. In those days, we had a audio cassette. We had 1,000 cassettes. So I saw in the market, we started having this round, what do you call it, like chapati? CD, DVD. The round one. That started coming. Then immediately I sold the 1,000 tapes. People are asking, why are you selling it? No, now new thing is coming up now. Then we moved it to this thing. And within a couple of years, this thing started coming, the pen drive. Then I told, sell this also. We sold all the DVDs also we sold. Because things started coming in a flash player, pen drive. So that means the world is changing very fast. If you don't know how to adapt yourself to the world situation in preaching and expanding, we will be left behind. And we will become obsolete. If you're just sitting in one place with a book to teach people, people don't come easily. Now people are connecting on WhatsApp, people are coming to know through Instagram, so many things nowadays. People are hearing from YouTube. So if you don't run with the pace of the world, you have to run with them at their pace and give them Krishna consciousness in their pace. Otherwise people won't receive. Otherwise all Mayavadis are running at their pace and they are feeding the Mayavad poison. So if we don't run at their pace, then poor living entities will eat Mayavad and die. So therefore, we have to know how to reach the people. At the same time, we have to protect our purity also. That's another very important thing. So therefore, he is saying you should be valorous, determined, quick and dexterous. Expert. Dexterous means expert. Dakshyam. He's very expert. And the fourth one is personal attributes of an ideal king. He should be eloquent, bold, endowed with a sharp intellect. Uh, Sharp intellect means ability to discriminate right from the wrong. And you should be able to discriminate between what is pebble and what is pearl. The difference between pearl and pebble, you should be able to clearly know the difference. Pearl and pebble means, pebble is not valuable, pearl is valuable. So what is worthy of pursuit? What is worthy of being rejected? You should know the difference between the two. A strong memory. Yeah. And keen mind. Some people, even after 20, 25 years, they don't forget. And they remember all fine details. Like there was some Sri Rangapuri in Pandharpur Dham. When he saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he came to know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Jagannath Mishra's son, he told many, many years ago, I had come to this thing, Navadev Dham, and me and other sannyasis, we came to your house, and your good mother, saintly mother, Sachimata, served us prasad. And while serving, she also served us one banana flower sabji. Still, he remembered that item also. See, what a sharp memory you see, isn't it? So, if one has to take leadership, you should actually remember the great services rendered by many people and gratefully appreciate them. Even after many years have passed away, you should remember them. You should have a keen mind. You should be amenable to guidance. That means you should be flexible, bendable, amenable, like a rubber ball. Throw a rubber ball, it comes back to your hand. You should be very bendable person, adaptable. If he is not adaptable, which means like you will see one time, Chandragupta Maurya asked Chanakya, hey Brahman, I wish to know why you changed this decision. I am wondering whether this change is at all required. I feel I want to go ahead with what was decided earlier. And Chanakya said, yes, you go ahead with the previous decision and I resign from my post. Chanakya said. And immediately Chandragupta offered obeisance and said, sorry. I was just little attached to that opinion. And now he said, now I will follow the latest opinion what you have given me. Now I will follow it. Chanakya says, okay, I won't resign now. I'll stay with you. So you will see, because the Brahmanas, they were not taking salary. So they could not be controlled. They could speak the truth without fear. Correct, no? So then Chanakya also taught Chandragupta that you should be so bendable that if you are going in one direction headlong, you are told to stop and take another direction, you should be ready. Like Arjuna was told, fight the battle. He didn't want to fight, but he had to fight. Dhruva wanted to fight the battle and finish the yakshas. He was told to stop and not fight. That means he should be amenable to guidance. Prevrat Maharaj wanted to be a mendicant. He was told to become the king. He agreed to become the king. Is it not true? Dhritarashtra wanted to continue to be king. He was told to go to forest. Now you go to forest, there is time for you. So you will find he should be amenable to guidance. So he should be well trained in all the arts and be able to lead the army. He should be just in rewarding and punishing. That means he should be balanced. He should not do pakshapat. He should be, if a king finds my son is a culprit, you should punish him. There's a story in Puranas. Once Prahlad Maharaj had a son called Virochana. And Virochana wanted to marry one girl. And there was another rishi who was named Sudhanba rishi. He also wanted to marry the same girl. So they both were interested in one person. But Virochana said, I am prince. I am son of the king. So I should marry her. You rishi, you cannot marry. He thought he is a weakling. Like that. So, and there was some kind of understanding, some combat, some competition was held between them. Some war between Virochana and Sudhanva. And Sudhanva won in that. So now naturally she should marry whom? She should marry Sudhanva Rishi. So Sudhanva Rishi came to the court of Prahlad saying that your son Virochana is defeated, but still he is not allowing me to marry this girl. And Prahlad kept mum. He didn't say anything for some time. Because he thought, you know why he kept mum. If he tells his son that, beta, you should give up this, son will get emotional. He'll get upset with the father. And if he tells Sudhanva Rishi, no, my son is prince, he will only marry, then he does pakshapat. So Prahlad thought, better keep quiet. At that time, one rishi gave Prahlad an advice. He told him that when the truth comes to the court, and is pinned down by untruth, by adharma. And if one who is supposed to speak doesn't speak, he will be taken to hell and he will be bound by Varunapash for 1,000 years. Therefore, we should never avoid speaking the truth, he told him. When Prahlad heard it, immediately he told Sarnarishi, you should marry the girl, not Virocha. Immediately he told. And this story was quoted by Vidura to Dhritarashtra. Don't keep mum, Draupadi is in trouble now, so he speak out. That time he spoke this Mahabharata, you see that. So he should be just in rewarding and punishing. He should have the foresight to avail himself of the opportunities by choosing the right time, place, and type of action. That means, you should always be on the lookout. Where is opportunity? Where is opportunity? Prabhupada saw that, should I go to London like my godbrothers or should I go to America? So he said that London already these fellows tried. Things didn't work out. London we will do later. Now let me do something differently. Let me go to America, Prabhupada said. So then he went to America. And America also, when Prabhupada went, he was staying with the Agarwal family. And then he went to Mishra's studio. And Prabhupada thought Mishra can teach yoga and I will teach them bhakti philosophy. But the problem is Mishra was a Mayavadi. Mishra was not only teaching yoga, he was also giving them class also and feeding them poison. And Mishra and Prabhupada were thick friends and they were they used to have heated argument in the car also. Oh, Prabhupada, and both of them would have altercation in the car. Because one is speaking Vaishnava philosophy, one is speaking Mayavadi philosophy. But after that, Prabhupada will cook khichdi for him and feed him prasad. This is Prabhupada. Prabhupada was a very spirited preacher. So when Prabhupada would give class, Mishra would come and Prabhupada would be telling all the boys and girls that this Mayavadi philosophy is bogus. You should follow Vaishnava philosophy. And Mishra would get wild. I am giving you my students and you are teaching them the different Vaishnava philosophy. Some of students became attracted to Prabhupada. They felt what Prabhupada says is more correct and more complete. They felt like that. And Prabhupada understood this Gadi will not go for a long time in this place. Let me find out another place, he was thinking. One day Prabhupada went to one Bharatanatyam program and he was sitting on the stage, Bharatanatyam was going on. And all the audience were looking at the stage. And Prabhupada was looking at the audience. Ulta, opposite direction. So Prabhupada wanted to see how Americans are appreciating Indian culture. He was seeing that. He wanted to see that. What taste are they getting in music, in art, in dance, in different things. So he was a very observant personality. He was always thinking what will work in America, what will not work, what should be done. And he was always learning from even disciples also. Disciples would tell him more about America and everything. So therefore, we should avail himself of the opportunities by choosing the right time, place and type of action. And Prabhupada was very intelligent to be present at a place where he should be present. For example, he gave the copies of Bhagavatam to Lal Bahadur Shastri when Lal Bahadur Shastri was Prime Minister in India. Later on, Prabhupada wanted Indian funds to come to America at that time to start a small temple in New York. That didn't happen. Indira Gandhi didn't release that money from India. So then he took 40 rupees and went, that. And he didn't use that money in America. Rather, he brought more than 40 crores back. And he built the 3 temples where? Juhu, Vrindavan and Mayapur. He built like that. So you will find in Srila Prabhupada's times how Prabhupada and Lal Bahadur Shastri also came to Russia and then he was supposed to come to America. And Prabhupada told the devotees, I know this fellow. In India, I gave him Bhagavatam. That's the reason I give Bhagavatam big fellows, because they will come to help. But unfortunately, Lal Bahadur Shastri passed away in Russia itself. He couldn't come to America. But the point is, why Prabhupada met the leaders? Because if we meet the leaders and give them Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, books and everything, they are very influential in society. Tomorrow they may help in reaching the message to a lot of people. One example I'll tell you, one last example and I'll conclude. I've been going to companies and giving seminars, more than 250, 300 seminars I must have given in companies. Recently, I suggested one team of couple families, tell the company people that I will only give seminar if they take 500 rupees worth Prabhupada's books. And we have the gift pack made with Bhagavad Gita, Coming Back, SSR, I like that books, along with our Stress to Smile and the Art of Smart Work. Few books like that we have made, 500 rupees worth of books. And we made a nice pack. So we went to a manager and showed it. So now when I'm going to Pune, they are going to have some program for some 40, 50 people. And they immediately agreed, no problem, 500 rupees pack is very good. We can give one pack to all our men. They said immediately. And I was thinking that every week we could do one program in a company where we make a gift pack of 500 rupees per head. 50 people, 100 people, managers, other people attend. Imagine if 100 people attend, 500 rupees books they take, how much it is? 50,000 worth books sold just for giving one seminar. And they are even saying, you give online seminar and send the books by parcel. That is even more easy. Is it not true? So therefore, we should, there are so many ways to preach. So if we should always take advantage of the right time, place and type of action. But many times what happens, we just give a lecture here and come back, lecture there and come back without any strategy, without any planning. Books also don't go, they also don't become devotees and maybe staring at the sky. So therefore, one should be very intelligent to think of some method. So we have never thought of it. Only recently this idea was thought, and it is going to get conceived now in the coming time, and we will see whether many companies will agree for this. So it's a very, very nice way of reaching. Nowadays, Bhagavad Gita's respectability has increased a lot all across the globe. Thanks to our Prime Minister who gifted it to Japanese President. And he said, I cannot give a better gift than this. And he gave it. Now many people are thinking, if Prime Minister is saying it is good, it must be good. So many Indian leaders are accepting and welcoming Bhagavad Gita now. So we also should avail of the right time, place and action. So you should know how to govern in normal times and in times of crisis. You should know when to fight and when to make peace. See, Chanakya says that if you are more stronger than your enemy, then you can fight. If you are less stronger than the enemy, better make peace. When to lie in wait, when to observe treaties, that means agreements, and when to strike at an enemy's weakness and preach. Like Prabhupada would really, in his preaching, did bold preaching. Logically, he would present. And, like once Prabhupada was sitting with one Buddhist guru along with the disciples. So the Buddhist guru was strongly telling that there should be non-violence in the world. There cannot be violence. Your Arjuna was taught by Krishna violence to fight in the battle. That is not acceptable to us. There should only be non-violence, he said. So Prabhupada asked him a simple question. See, you are walking in the road with some of your disciples, female disciples. Somebody is catching the hand of female disciple and pulling. What will you do? Prabhupada asked him. So the Guruji thought for a minute and he thought, I am checkmated now. So Guruji said, no, I won't take any action, he said. Then the female disciples became upset. They said, Guruji, you won't take any action? If somebody is pulling our hand, you won't protect us? So the Guruji got confused, what to do now? So this is why Prabhupada would, like he says, Prabhupada knew how to present such pakka, solid arguments that the wrong premises will be defeated. Yeah. So therefore, you should know what is the weakness of each philosophy. We should know what is the weakness of Mayavad philosophy, what is the weakness of Buddhist philosophy, what is the weakness of Sahajaism. If you don't know the weakness, you can't strike at the enemy's weakness. He should preserve his dignity at all times and not laugh in an undignified manner. Like Duryodhana is known for laughing in an undignified manner many times. You should be sweet in speech, look straight at people and avoid frowning. He should eschew passion, anger, greed, obstinacy, fickleness and backbiting. You should give up. Eschew means you should give up these things. Unnecessary passion, anger, greed, obstinacy, fickleness and backbiting. You should not use sarcasm like what Rahugana used sarcasm on Jadabrata. That he should avoid. You should conduct himself in accordance with the advice of the elders. You should always be a good listener of the Brahmanas, like Yudhishthira Maharaj's picture is shown here. So he was a very good listener of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and Supreme Lord Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki. So I showed you these qualities and all. Why? Because now you got an idea. Besides the spiritual qualification, you also should have these qualifications. What are these? Leadership, intellect, energy and personal attributes. These are also required for a king. This is how the ministers would come together and choose an ideal king for the next post. So Utkala was not fit for this. He was not enthusiastic about ruling the country. Therefore, they were looking for alternative king. That point is said here. Shri Prabhupada ki, Mantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Thank you very much.